The University of Malaya is one of the most prestigious universities in Malaysia, established in 1962 following the independence of the nation. With the university grant status, there was a need for a hall for the annual convocation to take place. In 1961, an open competition for the design of a great hall was launched, in which Dato Kington Lu and Mr. Chris Bailey of BEP Architects won. The design of a brutalist structure with a capacity of 3,000 students mirrored the nation's identity and aspirations at that time. The Great Hall opened its door to the convocation of the class of 1965-66 on the 25th of June 1966. The hall was launched by Tunku Abdul Rahman, the first Prime Minister of Malaysia and Chancellor of the University of Malaya. In commemoration of the first Chancellor of UM, the hall was named Dewan Tunku Canselor. Owned and managed by the University of Malaya, the Dewan Tunku Canselor was mainly used to host the annual convocation, exam, seminars, conferences, and performances. The hall is also available for rental for private and corporate functions. Located in the heart of the 922 Arc UM campus, surrounded by natural topographies, such as the existing forest reserve and Pantai River, and surrounding faculty buildings. The growth of the university can be observed over the decades. In the 60s, following the establishment of the University of Malaya, the earliest faculty and residential college buildings were built on the foot of the forest reserve. The next decade saw introductions of new faculty blocks, as well as new residential colleges to facilitate the growing numbers of students. The 90s also saw the introduction of the computing and built environment faculties, as well as growth in accommodation built around the forest reserve. UM oversaw minor changes to the master plan layout since the turn of the millennium, facilitating the introduction of the 12th and largest residential college. Following the establishment of the university, the first convocation of University Malaya in Kuala Lumpur was held in KHUNG Stadium with a total of 327 graduates and 1,500 guests. As convocation location was always an issue, finding it difficult to find a suitable hall. In 1961, there was a proposal to construct a hall for the University of Malaya. Competition took place to design the hall, and the winner, Dato Kington Lu's design, was chosen. On the 25th June of 1966, Dewan Tunku Canselor was officially opened, hosting the convocation of the 1965 and 1966 graduating class. On the 29th June 2001, a pre-dawn fire consumed the building, with almost 90% of the building being destroyed by the fire and the firefighting efforts. From then, efforts to reconstruct Dewan Tunku Canselor have taken place. On the 20th August 2002, the Dewan Tunku Canselor was officially relaunched by Malaysia Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Abdullah Ahmad Badawi. Today, in 2019, the hall became host to the 59th annual convocation of University Malaya. Dewan Tunku Canselor has a strong brutalist language, as the architect drew inspiration from masterpieces by Le Corbusier such as the Unite the Habitation 1952 and the Secretariat building in Chandigarh, India 1953. The extensive use of concrete and glass in Dewan Tunku Canselor were the boast of new technology within the era of time. The use of glass for the pyramidal skylight and the porte cochere in front of the lobby is one of the examples of the use of new technology available at the time it was built. Another distinctive feature of the lobby is its interior wall, which consists of a second layer of sun shading device in the form of egg crates. The ceiling in the lobby is made up from waffle structure, echoing the texture of egg crate of its walls. To the south, there is another entranceway walkway with the transparent roof supported by a row of columns. These concrete columns and the beams of its walkway has a national flag and flower reliefs carved on these elements through the use of formwork. The staircase shaft that protrudes from the courtyard is typical of the brutalist style, provide more than just a vertical access to the users of the building. for they also give the whole building a good overall scale and proportion. The roof was made of thick concrete slab, providing Dewan Tunku Canselor with the architectural language of an institutional building, which was also a reference taken from Le Corbusier masterpieces. The use of water elements around Dewan Tunku Canselor provides both aesthetic and environmental impact to the users of the building. Being a modernist building, the Dewan Tunku Canselor of University Malaya 1966 by the late Dato' Kinten Lu has been gazetted as a National Heritage under the National Heritage Act No. 645 in efforts to protect and preserve historical and cultural buildings. Due to a fire that engulfed about 90% of Dewan Tunku Canselor's original building on the 29th of June 2001, both the restoration and conservation had to happen together. Since then, the public was restricted into the Dewan until it was fully restored. After the accident, the aftermath construction works were carried out in 3 stages. 1. Preparing report and conducting a building condition survey. 2. Giving professional advice in rehabilitation works. 3. Advising the preparation of documentation work of the entire building before and after rehabilitation works. This is an example of the framework process of building conservation project. Temporary protection on the site was provided to prevent further damage, and appropriate construction methods and material were used to retain authenticity of buildings. During the first stage of the construction, in efforts to restore the building, structural concrete elements were repaired and installation of a new steel roof truss over the grand hall. The second stage of construction involved repair works of architectural features and the interiors. Additional of new services system and facilities to cater to all function to be held in the building. Some of these issues faced during this conservation project were time constraints, unable to look for replacement for the damaged original materials, and lack of skilled workers who are experienced in conservation works. The Dewan Tunku Canselor was known for being one of the first Malaysian buildings to adopt the Brutalist architectural style and the modernism movement in the early 1960s, and thus has become an important landmark in University of Malaya and Malaysia's architectural timeline. Dewan Tunku Canselor has been made with the thought of various architectural techniques, technologies and elements, all fused into one building, and can be seen to exude a certain bold quality about it. Being mostly built in raw concrete material, it stands out from most of Malaysia architecture during that period. Though similarities can be seen in buildings such as Le Corbusier's work, our Malaysian context and climate can be seen to have been considered in the conception of this building. Brutalism, like most architectural styles that are unique to Malaysia and the world back then, would not have been well received by the general public. That has changed over time, and people have come to accept how unique it is in today's architectural context. On top of this, Malaysia's general acceptance of heritage buildings can be seen in how they have improved their efforts in conserving them. Conservation of heritage buildings requires the understanding and knowledge of those resources and the history those buildings represent. Conservation of a heritage building is given a lot of thought and care as well as skill in order to preserve the rare qualities of what makes those buildings, including the materials used, architecture and craftsmanship. As the building, the Dewan Tunku Canselor, stands now in its place, it has become a significant architectural icon in Malaysia. Thank you.